Well, that makes a lot of sense. I love this. I love when a story has that big picture perspective, when it all sort of comes together in a big picture sense. Now, you do have a bunch of disparate deposits, different projects on the go. So let's break down a little bit what you've been doing at some of those different assets over the last few months.
So I think I'll start there with our kind of most recent acquisition, which would be Caribou. So it's once again a historic producer. It actually produced longer than some of the other deposits in Nova Scotia. Largely, a lot of them shut down in around 1942 during World War II, but Caribou produced most recently in actually 1955. So it produced a little bit over 100,000 ounces in its life. It was a, like almost all of the deposits in Nova Scotia, a traditional kind of higher grade underground mine. Since then, there's a historic resource on it of just under 100,000 ounces, so about 97,000 ounces. So we took a look at that and decided that it made a lot of sense for us geologically. I think we can expand that historic resource pretty significantly with drill work when we get there. And then as well as geographically, because it's located about 8 kilometers from the Tukoi mill site, or the Moose River Consolidated mill site on the roads. And so, that's something that makes sense for us, and it happens to be surrounded entirely by an Atlantic claim block as well. And so that's an asset where we see a path to success through a modest drill program, build that resource up, and down the road then see where that lands. And then as well, so right now at Caribou, we're doing just basically data compilation work, reprocessing historic drillings and geophysics, and really trying to put our own geologic models together there before we were to look at hitting the drill or something like that. But making sure we have kind of everything lined up for that. Then as well this summer, because of its proximity to Goldenville, we've done some work at Lower Seal Harbour, surface work primarily post. We did that compilation work at Lower Seal Harbour, drilling some geophysics, historic geophysics that we reprocessed, and then did some surface work there to try to advance that project kind of up to that drill ready stage in the portfolio as well. And then Gold Lake and Miller Lake, we're actively going through some of that data, and they're just our kind of next step down the road. We're trying to just kind of ratchet each one of these projects up through the ladder as time goes on.
Right. And then, of course, the main thrust of activity has been Goldenville, which is the prime project in the portfolio. So let's talk a little bit about what's been going on at Goldenville.
Correct, yeah. So that's really where we focused our efforts. That was our cornerstone kind of from the beginning in this company. Shortly after we acquired it, we put a resource together on that, which on an uncapped basis is about 447,000 ounces at 4.96 grams per ton. So I think that's a resource that we looked at when we acquired the project. We can put this resource together. This is something we can stand on for as a company, as a cornerstone, as a foundation for the company, and then expand that. And what we liked about Goldenville was there's multiple different ways for us to expand that resource. And it's open at strike, open along strike to the east, open at depth, and then there's this untested potential there for some of the mineralization in the argillites as well. And so one of the things we focused on this summer with the drill program was trying to put the stratigraphy together in such a way that we could try to drill test some of these thicker zones of argillites, because that's been, while very successful for some of the other companies in the area. But so it was kind of this multiple paths approach where we looked at it and go, okay, we can expand this way, we think we can expand this way, we think we can test for some of this. And then as well, we put 3 holes into the Mitchell Lake zone.
Right, which is a fair distance away to the east, along strike, so to speak.
Correct, yeah, it's within the Goldenville claim block boundary, so it's part of, for our purposes, it's part of that project, but it is a separate deposit. There's a small amount of historic workings at Mitchell Lake there, and a couple of drill holes from the late 90s with some pretty reasonable results out of one of them. I think there's 20.3 meters of 1.3 grams. So, something that we really thought warranted some work there. So we put 3 holes into Mitchell Lake, and that's somewhere where we'd like to hopefully focus some significant work down the road and see if we can build some resources there. I think the Mitchell Lake's minor anecdote that I kind of like about it is in, I think, 1908, basically the head geologist, or he was a surveyor at the time actually, Charles Pye for Nova Scotia, visited Mitchell Lake, and there's a report in the newspaper from him that said the disseminated mineralization at Mitchell Lake is going to be the future of gold mining in Nova Scotia.
And he said that in 1908.
Yeah, so he was, I think it was 1908, yeah, so I think he was correct.
He was
if we look at Atlantic, he was just a little early.
Like 100 years early.
just slightly early. So I think that, that target holds a lot of potential for us, and we're pretty excited about it.
So what's cool about what you're saying is that there's multiple paths for how Goldenville and the Mitchell Lake Zone could work, depending on what the results of this drill program are. So you've got the high-grade resource that you already have, that you can expand along strike, maybe all the way to Mitchell Lake, maybe they're separate, but there's along strike, there's depth. And then there's this, you talk about stratigraphy and argillites. For those who don't know, we're talking about the rock type, and in a particular rock type, the potential for the mineralization to just spread at a lower grade and become, this disseminated kind of mineralization, which is what Atlantic is tapping into, and so that's part of the interest in Atlantic Canada is looking for. Correct. What your friend in 1908 pointed to as the future. So if that's there as well, that's another way that this could work out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's that's kind of been the thesis for the company all along at different scales as well. Where so Goldenville has these multiple paths and ways for us to expand that resource, and then the company does as well. Where because we have these separate deposits, there's all this potential to add resources and add ounces at these different deposits. And like I said, I liken it to having all your eggs in the same basket, whereas we have 3 eggs in a bunch of baskets, suddenly we have a lot of eggs, whereas instead of looking in one basket kind of thing. So it de-risks things a little bit for us.
Absolutely. So when do we get, I know the labs are pretty slow, you've been waiting and waiting, you're still waiting for these initial drill results from Goldenville.
Yeah, believe me, I want to see them at least as bad as everybody else at this point in time. Labs, it's a blessing and a curse right now, because because exploration it was a busy summer. The labs are a little bit backed up, and the labs are a little bit slow, and so we're desperately wanting results as much as the next guy, who's probably also making as many phone calls to them as I am.
Right.
And then with our program as well, we've chosen a couple of assay techniques. Our metallic screens are just a little bit slower than traditional quick AA fire assay kind of thing and stuff, but we think that those results are going to be better and more reproducible and more consistent than some of the other techniques. So it just kind of is what it is. But I would expect and hope that we'll see results fairly soon.
Perfect. Well, fingers crossed. Lots of opportunities for it to work. So that's the update from Osprey. Thanks for watching.